In 2023, Panera Bread's $7.5 billion empire lost $400 million in sales, marking its worst drop since the brand began. Once praised for fresh dough and clean food, it now faces lawsuits, facility closures, and franchisee rebellion. But beneath the headlines, there is a hidden cause most people never see. How did a craft-driven success story collapse this fast, and who triggered the downfall? Let us uncover the inflection point that changed everything. Subscribe now to follow the full investigation. In 1987, a small bakery in Kirkwood, Missouri, began serving sourdough bread baked fresh every morning. That bakery, led by Ron Shaich, was not aiming for the lowest price or the fastest service. It promised something different: honest food, a warm cafe atmosphere, and bread that never saw a freezer. By 1997, the name changed to Panera, Latin for breadbasket, and the brand took off. Customers lined up for soup in bread bowls, free Wi-Fi, and a place to linger. It was not just a lunch spot, it became a third place between home and work. Shaich believed in building a company that would last, not just quarter to quarter. He kept debt low and invested in fresh dough facilities that delivered unbaked bread to every cafe, preserving the promise of daily freshness. During the 2008 recession, as our rivals slashed prices and lost ground, Panera's sales grew by 5.5%. Shaich refused to discount, protecting both margins and reputation. The company's stock soared 2,000% in the years after its IPO. By the mid-2010s, Panera operated more than 2,000 locations and posted billions in annual revenue. Its secret was not a marketing gimmick or a tech platform. It was the craft of bread, delivered daily and baked on-site. That focus on quality built a moat competitors could not cross. But the strength of that moat depended on costs never outweighing craft, a balance that would soon be tested. If you want to follow the unraveling of this story, now's the time to subscribe. In April 2017, Panera Bread's destiny changed hands for $7.5 billion. The buyer was JAB Holding Company, a private equity giant based in Luxembourg, known for snapping up coffee and bakery brands across the globe. JAB's offer paid shareholders a 30% premium over Panera's recent stock price, and the deal closed 3 months later, in July 2017. Founder Ron Shaich stepped aside as chief executive officer, staying on briefly as chairman, but the message was unmistakable. Panera was no longer a founder-led company. Now, it belonged to a firm that played by a different set of rules. Subscribe now. JAB's managing partner Olivier Goudet praised Panera's vision and innovation in public statements, but behind closed doors, the priorities shifted. The new owners were not interested in slow, steady brand building. They had a playbook: maximize returns, squeeze efficiencies, extract value fast. The company, once known for its low debt and long-term thinking, was suddenly loaded up with billions in fresh leverage. Every decision now had to answer to the math of private equity, not to the legacy of craft. For Panera, the era of mission-driven leadership was over. The incentives now pointed in a new direction, towards short-term profits, even if that meant undermining the very moat that once made Panera untouchable. And as the ink dried on the deal, the first cracks in that moat began to appear. Across the country, the heart of Panera's promise, fresh dough mixed and shaped each night, fell silent. In 2024 alone, at least 11 fresh dough facilities closed their doors, from Chandler, Arizona, to Seattle, Denver, and Houston. In Lenexa, Kansas, 59 bakers received layoff notices under the WARN Act. In Greensboro, North Carolina, nearly 80 more lost their jobs. These weren't just numbers on a spreadsheet. They were bakers who started their shifts at midnight, delivering unbaked bread to local cafes before sunrise. For decades, they took pride in a craft that set Panera apart. But the new private equity owners saw those facilities as a drag on profits, labor-intensive, expensive, and out of sync with the drive for efficiency. Instead of dough made by hand, Panera cafes began receiving par-baked, frozen loaves from third-party suppliers. The savings looked good on paper, but customers noticed the difference. The bread didn't taste the same. The promise of freshly baked daily bread began to ring hollow. For the people who built Panera's reputation, it was more than a layoff. It was the end of an era. Sarah Katz was 21 when she ordered Panera's charged lemonade in Philadelphia. The cup she filled held 390 milligrams of caffeine, nearly 4 times a typical coffee. Katz, a University of Pennsylvania student with a known heart condition, believed the drink fit Panera's promise of clean, wholesome choices. Hours later, she collapsed from cardiac arrest. Her family's lawsuit, filed in October 2023, accused Panera of hiding the true risks behind a health halo. The drink, marketed as plant-based and natural, was placed alongside regular sodas, not energy drinks, and came with unlimited refills for Sip Club subscribers. Panera responded by adding warning labels and quietly reformulating the beverage, but the damage was done. If you want the full breakdown of the consequences and the accountability that followed, subscribe now. Social media erupted with outrage, comparing charged lemonade to Four Loko and calling out the brand's double standard. Customers posted videos, shared stories, and flooded timelines with anger. For a company built on trust, the fallout was swift. More lawsuits followed, a reputation was battered, and a growing sense took hold that Panera's core promise could no longer be believed. Trust was gone. Eduardo Diaz spent 20 years building his Panera franchise in Houston. By 2025, his 15 cafes faced a brutal ultimatum: spend over $400,000 per store on mandatory remodels or risk losing the brand. Diaz ran the numbers. Sales were already down, food costs were up, and Panera's royalty fees kept climbing. Bankruptcy was the only option. On August 2nd, 2025, EYM Cafe filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, listing more than $10 million in debt. Overnight, every location closed. More than 100 employees lost their jobs. Panera's corporate office didn't offer a lifeline. Instead, they sued to enforce the shutdown, protecting their own bottom line. Meanwhile, reports swirled of up to 350 layoffs at Panera's headquarters as leadership slashed costs to offset falling revenues. For the people behind the counters and in the back offices, the message was clear. Loyalty and years of service meant nothing against the math of private equity. The network that once thrived on partnership began to hollow out, leaving empty stores and broken promises in its wake. If you care about hard-hitting business journalism like this, hit subscribe and stay with us. The numbers tell their own story. System-wide sales tumbled from $6.5 billion in 2023 to $6.1 billion in 2024, a $400 million drop. It was the first real contraction in Panera's modern history. Foot traffic had been shrinking for years, not just months. Even Panera's own CEO, Paul Carbone, admitted that in early 2025, average franchise sales had fallen by $200,000 per store, while Cava and Sweetgreen posted double-digit growth and expanded their footprints. Panera's units closed or stagnated. Competitors' average unit volumes climbed above $3 million, while Panera's slipped into the $2 to $3 million range. Subscribe now for the full data and unfiltered analysis. Customer reviews turned sour, comparing Panera's food to hospital cafeteria fare. On social media, former loyalists asked, "Does anyone even eat here anymore?" The verdict from the market was clear. Panera's edge had dulled, and the brand that once set the standard was now falling behind. If you want more hard facts and unfiltered analysis, don't forget to subscribe. Touchscreens replaced cashiers. Unlimited. Sip Club subscriptions promised daily value. Leadership rolled out technology and loyalty perks as if the right app could fix falling sales. But kiosks do not bake bread, and a subscription cannot restore trust once it is lost. Panera's Net Promoter Score, once a badge of customer devotion, plummeted to levels that trailed even the most battered competitors. internal dashboards showed the slide, but public statements kept touting convenience and innovation. The real problem, quality and credibility, never made it onto the slides. While Panera's executives obsessed over digital engagement, customers drifted to Kava and Sweetgreen, where the food still matched the promise. Even Ron Scheich, the founder who once defended Panera's soul, now invests in Kava, a competitor thriving where Panera faltered. That is the irony. The man who built the breadbasket now bets against it. This is the third-place trap. When a brand loses its edge, no tech upgrade or subscription can save it. If you care about stories that cut through corporate spin, subscribe now. Today, Panera's brand stands as a cautionary tale. When short-term profit eclipses trust, even a $7.5 billion empire can unravel. As private equity targets more household names, the real cost is not just lost dollars, it is lost confidence. The next collapse may already be brewing. Subscribe for more investigations.